The Twin Towers, standing 110 stories each, were the tallest buildings in New York. They provided nearly 10 million square feet of office space for about 35,000 people. With 430 companies working there, they attracted roughly 70,000 commuters and tourists daily. Being so big, you could view up to 45 miles in every direction, far enough to see all 5 boroughs in New York City. And this was the reason these buildings got attacked. The group that led out these attacks was a terrorist organization known as Al-Qaeda, and although Osama bin Laden was their leader, Khalid Saqid Muhammad planned the 9/11 attacks, saying he was responsible for the 9/11 operation from A to Z. He tried and failed on February 26, 1993, with a van parked underneath the WTC. 6 people were killed and thousands were injured. It is known that 15 people received traumatic injury from the blast and 20 complained of cardiac problems. This group did not stop after this, and their leaders started planning for the 2001 attacks. Bin Laden led the plot and provided financial support. He was also involved in selecting the participants, including choosing Muhammad Atta as the lead hijacker. Muhammad provided operational support, such as selecting the targets and helping arrange travel for the hijackers. As seen here going through security on September 11, 2001, he had on him airline uniforms, flight manuals, a box cutter, and his will. These were not confiscated and brought with him on the plane. The hijackers in the attacks were 19 of Al-Qaeda's men. 15 of them were Saudi Arabia, the others were Arab, Egyptian, and Libyan. The hijackers were organized into 4 teams, each led by a pilot-trained hijacker, with 4 muscle hijackers, who were trained to help subdue the pilots, passengers, and crew. Their plan was to take 4 planes, all on the same day, and crash 2 into the World Trade Centers and 2 into the Pentagon. Their plan didn't work with one of them, though, because the passengers overtook the pilots. The first plane was scheduled to go from Boston International Airport to Los Angeles, California, but 15 minutes into the flight, the hijackers stabbed flight attendants Karen and Barbara and slashed the throat of passenger Daniel Lewin. After this, they breached the cockpit and overpowered the captain. "Nobody move," they said. "Everything will be okay. If you try to make any moves, you'll endanger yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet." Atta thought he was speaking to only the passengers, but his voice was picked up and recorded by air traffic controllers. The crash killed all 92 people aboard and an unknown number in the impact of the plane. 30 minutes into the second flight, the hijackers breached the cockpit and overpowered the pilot and first officer, allowing the lead hijacker and trained pilot to take over the controls. The air traffic control made several unsuccessful attempts to contact the cockpit. Unknown to the hijackers, several passengers and crew aboard made phone calls from the plane to the loved ones and provided information about the hijackers and injuries to passengers and the crew. The plane crashed into the South Tower and killed all 65 people aboard, and again an unknown number in the building's impact zone. The third flight to leave was scheduled for Los Angeles from Virginia, but was once again taken over, and the passengers, crew, and the pilots were forced to the back of the plane. The plane was then crashed into the western side of the Pentagon. In all, there were 189 deaths at the Pentagon site. In this, there were 125 that were at the Pentagon at the time of the crash. 55 of them were military personnel, and 70 of them were civilians, in addition to the 64 on board the aircraft. Lastly, United Airlines Flight 93 was overtaken by 4 hijackers after 35 minutes in the air. The brave passengers, after realizing the situation, purposely crashed the plane before it reached the Pentagon. Once the passengers heard the hijackers' threats, many had time to call their family and loved ones and say their goodbyes. Mark Bingham called his mother and told her that the plane had been hijacked by 3 men who claimed to have a bomb and told her that he loved her. The plane crashed into a field in Stone Creek, Pennsylvania, and all 44 aboard died. On the day of the attacks, New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani proclaimed, "We will rebuild. We're going to come out of this stronger than before, politically stronger, economically stronger. The skyline will be made whole again." The mayor stayed true to his word, and there is now a memorial for every flight. The new Freedom Tower now is the tallest building in New York and is dedicated to the brave men and women on September 11, 2001.